Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Suko, and welcome to the April episode of the Pre-Order Roundup. Now, originally, I didn't have an intro for this video, and we were just gonna jump right in. But I found out something this morning, and I was very excited about it, and I figured why not share with the class. So, Mio was found in the wild, I guess because of Golden Week. I think Good Small Company is holding a small event over there. And we actually have her price and her date of release, which I have to zoom in to see. So she's coming out in May of 2025, which is not surprising, but she's 15,800 yen, which is extraordinarily cheap. I was not expecting that price tag at all. That is the cheapest Xenoblade figure by far. And man, I would have been happy with like 20,000. There's no reason this should be super expensive, but that is a fantastic price. And I'm gonna leave it at that because this kind of implies that we're gonna see her go up for pre-order in May, and then you can expect me to spend like 10 minutes talking about this figure. That's kind of what you sign up for when you watch my channel. But that's all I really want to say here, so let's jump into those pop-up parades. Now we do have a bunch, a lot of normal ones, a lot that we don't really need to talk about in too much detail, but the big one, for me at least, was Exodia, the forbidden one from Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, this is an SP, which basically is a large pop-up parade, but they need more money to make it. So this guy is going to cost 16,000 yen, which is actually the exact same price as Mio. I'm starting to have a little bit of a problem with the SP line if the prices are only going to keep increasing, because 16,000 yen, that's scale figure territory. So I don't really know how I feel about this, even though I think he looks super dope. I love the sculpt. I mean, they're not really doing anything creative here. This is just Exodia as you know him. I do think his, paint and the sculpting looks nice. The lines on like the shoulder pads, the chains are very rusty and like a dull bronze, a little bit of gold on the chest, the pattern there. Good colors. Nice sculpts, but pop-up parades aren't known for their like exquisite paint jobs and details, so this isn't going to like really impress you. So I'm worried that this might be a little bit too much, but it is cool for sure. I love that they're making Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I love that they're making monsters, but this is the most expensive SP we've seen so far. But at the very least, he's wide. Like there is a bit of a justification here, but I feel like this is a slippery slope that they definitely fell down already. So I'm expecting to see one of these for like 20,000 in the coming months. Another pop-up parade that I thought looked pretty good this month was 02, the pilot suit version, large size for 8,800 yen, the standard price. Now, unfortunately, 02 is kind of the poster child for why you shouldn't buy a pop-up parade, because there's that one that everybody hates because it really turned out poorly. But I think this looks really nice from the photos. This like candy red metallic finish for the suit looks so nice. I'm sure it won't look as nice on the final product, but if it does, then I think this will be a pretty good figure. And I like her smirk. I think the expression is very fitting. Her pose complements her expression. It all works. This is a simple figure, but I think it works. The colors are so appealing to me. But can you really get super excited about this when 02 has been, messed up in the past? I'm not sure. But it currently looks very nice, so I hope they deliver on this one. And then we had Frieren for 4,800 yen, back to the standard size. This is the only Frieren figure, I think, that has decided to paint like the trim of her outfit and the cuffs and stuff like that as gold. I feel like it's always an off yellow, but here they took a different approach. I think it looks good. I like it. I'm just not sure how like accurate this is, but I don't know. It definitely makes her outfit pop a little bit more. It's a simple pose. I like that she's holding a tome or a grimoire or whatever, so that she's learning new spells and whatnot. Fits her character. Twin tails look nice, but she's really standing there. Not the most dynamic thing in the world. Most pop-up parades aren't. But yeah, I think this looks nice. I don't really have any issues with it. We're going to be talking about Frieren later though, so I think we should just move on for now. Alright, so those three were my main highlights as far as pop-up parades go, but we still got 10 more to highlight very quickly, such as La Plus Darkness from Hololive, and we're also getting Amane Kanata. I think both of these look pretty good. I definitely like Kanata's more. It's just a cuter pose. Her expression is a little bit more lively. La Plus Darkness, on the other hand, her expression makes this figure feel a little basic, but I think her outfits, just like, I don't know, details and intricacies definitely carry the the sculpts and whatnot. But yeah, both of these two do have scale figures in the works, and I'm just realizing the pre-order window is closed. I just do not like pop-up parades that close immediately, but you know how it is. Unfortunate. We also had Jonathan Joestar, so I believe this is the third JoJo pop-up. He looks pretty good. I feel like his face could look a little bit better. He kind of looks a little too young, in my opinion. Like, it's a bit of a mismatch for the body. Good pose, though. Definitely a JoJo pose for you. I like it, but like a little off. Just a little bit, but I think, you know, cheap enough where if you like Jonathan, you should probably go for it. I don't really see a lot of figures of him. But then again, that's a lie, because last month we did get a scale figure of him. So don't worry about it, but these colors are totally different, much more vibrant than that scale figure from Sentinel. I'll put it on screen so you know what I'm talking about. We got Rika Takarada, a large-size pop-up parade from Gridman. This looks so similar, just in like build quality, to the swing set figure that was put up for pre-order a couple of months ago, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if they took similar steps to produce both of these two. I would say this looks slightly better in terms of the paint job, but the large pop-up does not look bad at all. Pretty eyes, nice hair flow, thighs are thick, of course. I think this is a solid figure of her. We're also getting a large-size pop-up parade for Kurumi, the school uniform version. You know, both of these two characters, but especially Kurumi, have tons of scale figures, and I don't feel like we get a lot of school uniform figures of her, so I do feel like that makes this feel a little bit more unique just for that alone. Like Rika, most of the movement is in the hair. Her twin tails are just twirling all about, but she's also lifting her skirt up a little bit, showing off the leggings just a tad more. It's not bad. Not bad at all. We also have Holo, the 2024 version. This is a normal size. I think the expression just sells this one. Another character that has tons of figures, but I think she looks very cute because of this wink and grin. Just makes her expression feel a little bit more endearing, a little bit more on a personal level. And I think that's a selling point right there. I think that's plenty of reason to pick this one up if you like Holo. And this outfit looks good on her. I like this outfit a lot for Holo. So, yeah, good stuff. We also got 3 pop-up parades for Kaiju number 8, one for Kafka, one for Reno, and one for Mr. Kaiju number 8, who I believe is Kafka. Maybe, I'm not sure, I haven't watched it yet. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Kaiju number 8 here costs a little bit more money, but I think that makes sense because of his scaly texture and that nice blue lining of the abs and throughout like the muscles and whatnot. I think it looks pretty cool, though I don't love this pose. Feels a little forced, but I'm sure it makes sense in the context of the show and the manga. Love his face. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like bone, but it looks cool. And I like the sharp teeth as well. The other two I'm not really loving just because their soldier uniforms look so, I don't know, soft and textureless. There's like no details in their outfit. You're not even really seeing any of their muscle definition, despite how like, I don't know, the dark blue portions look kind of skin tight. Maybe they're not supposed to be, but I feel like that's the impression with how kind of slender they are. But, you know, most of the creases are just here in the crotch, and I guess that's fine, but I don't know. For me, it just makes these figures look very unimpressive, and it goes for both of them. Not loving the sculpt so far, but, you know, they are cheap, and if you don't like these, I know Kotobukiya are making, like, every main character into a scale figure, so nothing to fret if you don't like them. Next, we got Saichi Sugimoto from Golden Kamui for 5,500 yen, a slight price increase on this one. Not really liking it either, unfortunately, mostly because of his face. I feel like I have not seen a good-looking figure of this guy ever. I'm also not sure if the price increase is really justified, but it does have, you know, a rifle and other gun over here. Static pose too, which I really don't like to criticize pop-up parades for, because most of them are like that, and they're cheap for a reason, but it's another reason to not really care about this one, so that's a shame. Next one's a cute one. Here we have a pop-up parade of Hatsune Miku, the translucent color version. So this is kind of a re-release, but more of a variance of a figure back from 2020, I believe, where they're just changing the hair to be translucent instead. I don't really know how I feel about that, because typically I don't love translucent hair, and now it's on a budget figure, so I can't imagine it's gonna look super good. But also, I'm sure the original pop-up parade doesn't look super good by any means, but it's still cute. Her face looks good. I like the pose, the teetering, the tippy toes and whatnot. Silver paint used for the vest, I think that pops. Honestly, the colors do look good. And the photos do make the translucency look kinda decent, so I'm not gonna hate. I think this looks alright, but do understand that this figure has been released in the past, and this really is just changing one or two little details. And last up for the pop-up parades is none other than Zundaman for 4,800 yen. She's very short though, at like 110 millimeters. In comparison, Miku was 170, so the exact same price, but way smaller. I really wish Good Small Company would adjust their prices on the shorter characters, but they don't really seem interested in doing so. But you know, 4,800 yen, not the most expensive figure out there. And she's got a cute design. I like her eye decals, nice and bright. The puffy pants on the overalls are weird-ass hair. I believe this character is a vocal synthesizer. I learned that since last time. And she's been popping up a lot when I'm like doom scrolling shorts and whatnot. Just, I don't know, making the weirdest appearances. Kind of funny, not gonna lie. But I don't know her much outside of that. Also, I like her blush stickers. I just think that's cute. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. But I like the design. I like the colors. I just think they should really adjust the prices on these little tiny baby little figures, but they don't do it, and that kind of bums me out. But what can you do? Okay, so Asuna from Blue Archive, the Bunny Girl version, is getting a re-release for 24,800 yen. I don't think they increased the price on this one, but this is fantastic news. This is a very popular figure, and I'm sure a lot of people missed out on it. Now, I don't believe she ever, like, drastically increased on the aftermarket, but she certainly didn't drop in price. So now it's a great chance to pick her up if you missed out. But if you want to know more about this girl, a lot of people have reviewed her. I have on my channel if you want to check out that video. But, yeah, I feel like these, you know, photos are very self-explanatory as to why you might want to pick her up. Next up, we got 3 figures from Love Live Superstars. You might have seen these 3 before. Here is Ren, Sumire, and Chisato. Now, these are part of a 5-figure set, which you could see right here. Originally, they actually announced a full set you could buy at once for like 111,000 yen or something, which, you know, makes sense. All, you know, 5 of the girls are about 24,000 yen each. They're all themed slightly differently, just in terms of their outfits, but there is a connecting thread within these designs, and that's seen in the sashes that they have around their shoulders. It's a little different depending on the girl. Like, these 2 have very fluffy boa shawls, and then the other girls have some, like, transparent or translucent sashes instead. But, you know, despite how their outfits aren't entirely, you know, themed exactly the same, I think it works as, like, one unit, one group, and then the colors make each one kind of pop and stand out on their own. Alright, moving on. Next up is Akane Kadokawa from Oshinoko. This one is made by Kadokawa, and I feel like 20,900 yen is kind of a lot for a school uniform figure. I feel like I have the perfect example to use now because Mio is 16,000 yen and is so much more detailed than this figure, but I don't want to knock it because I actually do like this. A lot of it comes down to how they painted her hair. I just love this shade of blue and the slight gradation. Very subtle, but it's like slightly lighter at the tips and whatnot. I think it looks good. I actually love her face too. I'm sure because this is a Kadokawa figure that there's going to be a bonus faceplate elsewhere. Like, you can't get that here as a bonus, so I'll put it on screen right now. I have not seen it. Never mind, it's right here actually. The EJ Anime Store bonus, the Awakening parts, which is actually a fantastic faceplate. Excellent reference to the show, but what does this mean? EJ Anime Store bonus. We're not on the EJ Anime Store. In fact, that doesn't even really exist anymore. And they kind of sell their stuff through like AmiAmi, and maybe the US Good Small Company store as well. So I don't actually know what is gonna happen if I pre-order this. Is it gonna actually give it to me here? Maybe I should test that. I was actually hoping it would say here if it was included, but it doesn't, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they're just showing you that you can buy it elsewhere, because I don't actually think you get it from Good Small Company, because that's not what they're saying. I could totally be wrong on this, but I don't think this is the case. Also, the My Figure Collection page does not list Good Small Company as a place to get this bonus faceplate. So yeah, I think if you like this figure, this is enough of a justification to go out of your way and spend a little bit more. But yeah, do some research because I really can't confirm if you get this here. But I do think that's a major selling point for this figure, even though it's good as is. So, okay. Not bad. This price is good, but this is also just because the yen is in absolute shambles right now. So, yeah. I've said enough here. Let's move on. This one was very interesting to me. Megumin from Konosuba for just about 24,000 yen. Now, Good Smile Company is making this figure, which is kind of why I was a bit surprised because it feels so basic and like we've been here already. Not to knock the quality, because I'm sure it'll be great. I love how they painted the staff. The ball in the staff has some nice gradation, that like light green and darker blue. Looks really nice, has a good shimmer to it. Outfits and the cape all like creased and whatnot. Very effective stuff. And the face looks very like anime accurate. Very cute. But I don't know, she gets so many like wild, extravagant, dynamic figures. And I feel like this is kind of a lot for Good Smile Company to ask for a figure that looks like this. I just feel like this looks like something that came out 8 years ago, except probably a little bit more polished because it's in fact coming out in most likely 2025. I think objectively this is good, which means that was a subjective thing to say, but there's really no flaw in this figure. It just looks like something from the past for a little bit more money than I was expecting. But again, because it looks so like anime accurate, I think that's enough reason alone to justify picking this one up. So don't let my negativity get to you. This looks very cute, very adorable Megumin. Not my favorite, but a nice one for sure. Just wish he was a little cheaper. All right, next up is Hina, the swimsuit version from Blue Archive, 22,000 yen, with a tagline of, "I hope this swimsuit will not cause any issues." I don't know what that means. She is adjusting it back there, so maybe that's what they're getting at. But yeah, kind of a darker palette for a swimsuit figure, which I do like. Even the sand has a bit of a purple hue. It's like purple and white, maybe a little bit of a darker blue for the water. The inflatable ring has a darker palette as well, mostly gray. Cute duck design, though. I like the gloss on its head. And the plastic realism with the creasing, just to make it actually look, you know, inflatable. That's definitely a detail I can appreciate. Her hair is so voluminous, that's probably one of the bigger selling points of this figure, draping all over the ring as well. Looks really good, actually. But yeah, other than that, just looks a little bit, you know, annoyed, maybe embarrassed to be there, right? And it's kind of cute. I don't know. What else is there to say about this one? Good price, considering how much, like, plastic there is for the hair and the ring. Though I guess as a counterpoint, she is pretty small. Just looks small, but I guess if we scroll down here, 235 millimeters, so not the tallest figure out there, though I don't think most people would assume this would be a tall figure. But definitely a lot of effort being put into her hair sculpt and the inflatable ring and the little starfish down there. Good details, for sure. Nice palette, a little drab, but purposefully so. And yeah, nice expression to go alongside it. This one is adorable. Here we have Amiya, Newsgirl version. I love this outfit, her hat, and just the glossy coat. I learned, thanks to like 50 of you guys in the comments section last time, that this is a quilted pattern, so I will do my best to remember that. I actually don't know who is making this. This looks like an Apex figure, but it's actually made by Good Smile Art Shanghai. Good on them, you know? This actually looks so damn cute. Love this outfit on her. The socks, the glossy blue shoes. I love the palette on this one. And I love when text is actually readable. I'd be surprised if the smaller text down here is like legible, but there's enough to appreciate that this actually looks like real newspaper. She's got a cute expression. I love how vibrant her blue eyes are. Headphones and ribbons nicely detailed. But she's also got the Thanos knife, like, perfectly balanced. You know the meme? Like, what is that? Why is she holding on to that? It's like literally the exact same thing, and she's balancing it in the exact same way. So I'm thrown off now. But I think this is an excellent figure for this price. How tall is she? Let me scroll down. 250? Yeah, that seems about right. She doesn't look super tall. But yeah, I love it. Excellent stuff. Here we have the Hane Ame 72 Sigils of Solomon Angel Crocel for 26,000 yen. We saw this at One Hobby, I believe, a sexy angel. I don't think I realized last time that this was a cosplayer, and I probably would not have realized that until now when I saw this cosplay postcard that you get as a bonus for buying her from the Good Small Company store. Now, Good Small Company themselves are the ones making this figure, which makes me wonder why they don't let certain figures on their store anymore. This is pretty saucy, all things considered. It's not a cast-off, though. It's not a plus 18 technically, so I guess they can't get in trouble for it. But they're definitely getting there. They're definitely tempting fate here if they want to, you know, keep their family-friendly image intact. But yeah, I love her lips. I think that's the most attractive part of this design. They're so full and lush. Love how they actually sculpted her armpit. Not like super detailed, but they added some like lines to it just to make it a little bit more degenerate. Because that's clearly a, you know, pull of this design, right? But yeah, most of this is pretty self-explanatory. The gold, like, jewelry and the chains and the crosses, those look excellent. Really, really nice gold paint used for those accessories and whatnot. Mostly a white palette, of course, because she's an angel. Her leggings almost look more like a cream color, but I think that's just because they're supposed to be so thin that you start to see her legs. But my god, are they, like, really squeezing on her thighs there. It even seems like there's, like, a slight yellowing, like a slight hue on the wings just to make them stand out a little bit more. You can see it a little bit better on the tips back here. I think it's pretty apparent if I point it out that way. So yeah, just to, you know, make the paint a little bit more complex. So yeah, cool stuff. Not for me, but definitely a good. There's actually a lot of, like, lewd stuff on Good Small Company today, such as these Ayakashi triangle figures. We have one for Suzu Kanade, as well as Matsuri Kazamaki. Very different in terms of design, so we'll just go by them one by one, or go through them. This girl is in a raccoon or tanuki hoodie, and I'm guessing she's wearing nothing else. I don't think you could tell if she's wearing underwear, but you can take off the hood, which is a nice detail, a nice little change up in her design, but I feel like if you're gonna buy something like this, you want to keep the raccoon hood, but what do I know? You still get the tail either way in the back over there. I don't love how they're simulating like a fluffy texture. Looks a little rough to me, so I feel like they kind of fumbled that a little bit, but it doesn't look super bad or anything. I will say I don't love how her hair looks in some of these photos. It almost makes like the highlights look metallic, which is interesting, and maybe that looks good in person, but then again, these photos down here don't really give the same impression. So I'm not sure what this figure is actually going to look like. But I think overall, it's a cute figure, mostly just because of the concepts. I love her expression, though. Very cute, very playful. As far as the other girl goes, Matsuri, they're just lifting up the skirt, showing this crazy tattoo on the tummy, the cute panties and whatnot. Hate her hair, like all translucent. I think it looks very cheap. Good expression, for sure, but I feel like the hair kind of ruins it. The pinwheel in her hair is kind of cool, though. I like that detail for her. For 22,800 yen, I feel like that's a little bit much, but this is Fat Company making both of them, so not surprised in the slightest. Not bad figures, though. Outside of this hair, I think, you know, they're fine. They're definitely fine, but they're kind of pushing it with the price. Fat Company is also putting out Kumano Fancy Waves version this month. This girl is from Azur Lane, I believe. Looks a little different from most Azur Lane characters to me, probably because she just looks like Power in a swimsuit. You know, ever since that Amakuni figure, I feel like sharp teeth gets me worried. Like, are they actually gonna do that correctly? I'm so let down by that figure. I'm not over it yet. But, you know, sculpt-wise, this is definitely good. Pretty dynamic for a swimsuit figure. Very similar to Noelle's figure from Hololive, the swimsuit version that she got. But maybe like a little bit more drab in terms of the colors. I think I said that last time. I don't love how the inflatable, I guess, bear ring looks, and the water is a bit darker than I would have liked, but it's not that bad. Getting a close-up of her, though, her hair is so shiny. And man, her face looks like it has a crazy red hue to it, outside of like the blush. I just feel like she's so pale, but also like a little bit too red in the face. I don't know if I like it anymore. But I do like this candy thing that's going on. She's like, you know, throwing candy into her mouth and she's holding onto a lollipop. dimples back there, a little hard to see, but an appreciated detail nonetheless. It certainly has good vibes, and I like her, I don't know, squishiness. Her thighs look so squishable. Her tummy definition is nice, and there's some appreciated underboob down there. I guess I did not realize her toenails were painted. You don't get that with the hands because she's wearing those long gloves. But yeah, you know, 27,800 yen, that's a hell of a lot of money for something I'm not like sold on because of just like some of the finishes, especially on the hair. I really don't like how they did her hair here. But it's a good design for sure. So maybe keep your eyes out on this one, but I feel like this is not a jump on it to pre-order kind of thing, but that's just me. Okay, next up we have Maid Mason to Shiraishi, illustration by Io Hayori for 25,850 yen. Which is a little expensive, but she is a 1/6 scale, so I don't think that's too big of a problem. This one is made by DMM Factory, who I don't feel like we've seen very often on Good Small Company's page, so that might be new, but also I might be misremembering some other figures. Unfortunately, I really have nothing I want to say about this one. It's very basic. I like her eyes, but that's kind of it. Otherwise, pretty basic in terms of just like the maid outfit. It's got some nice poof to it, like with the shoulders and the shading on the white portions looks fine. The frills are good, but I don't know. There's really nothing to discuss here, unfortunately. So I'm going to leave it at that. I got nothing. I'm sorry. I just want to point it out. All right, next up is a rather standout piece. Here we have Le Malin Mew. I think that's how you say that. For 31,500 yen. Now, this one is made by Luminous Box, who is still fairly new. And I'm not really super confident in their figures just yet. But I gotta say, this is one extravagant-ass figure. And somehow a standout in the sea of Azur Lane figures. There's so many of them, but none of them really look like this. I will say, a little worried about this pose. There's a lot of plastic up here, nothing supporting it, and she's leaning forward because of the way the base is tilted. So, I don't know, man. This just screams problems down the line. But besides that, I think there's plenty to appreciate about this figure. She has that listless expression, right? Not too much emotion and those starry eye pupils. I feel like I've seen nicer eye decals on other Le Malin figures, but these don't look too bad. So I'm not really complaining about it. But there's certainly a lot of volume on this figure because of her hair, which is very voluminous, and the outfit, those like tassels that almost look like wings, just all over the place, just fluttering about. And I almost feel like that might be a bit of a problem, you know? Just like looking at this figure, some of it gets lost within itself. It gets harder to discern like what's the hair and what's the outfit. But I think if you saw this figure in person, that really wouldn't be too much of a problem. A lot of the white seems to be glossy, and the gold is, you know, pretty self-explanatory, a nice gold paint used for the insides. I wonder if there's any pearlescent paint. It kind of looks like maybe that's the case for like the arms, like the sleeves and maybe the skirt, but that could just be glossy as well. It's a little hard to tell. I kind of wish her hair had a little bit more shading. Like it seems to be a bit more gray on the top, and then the strands of hair flowing out are more of a white. So there's a slight gradation there, which is appreciated, but I don't know if it stands out enough, you know? I love her base too. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but it's very colorful, and it really contrasts with the main portion of the figure because it's a bit darker. Yeah, so I guess I'm a little mixed on this one. It's very like lavish and elegant in a way, but I don't know. There's just like a couple of issues here and there that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I also don't know a lot about this company. It's definitely very promising, so I guess all I can do is hope that it turns out well. Ooh, Racing Miku 2023, 15th anniversary version. This one was actually on my wish list. Now, she's 32,800 yen, which is extremely expensive. However, she's a 1/6 scale, and typically Racing Mikus are on the pricier side. So I'm actually not really surprised at this price, but I think a lot of people don't want to get this figure anymore because she's so expensive, and that's fine. I'm not here to push anything on you. But I will say, this shit's adorable, and I love it. Though I'm like 95% on board with it, for just like one stupid reason, and it's the base. I don't really like the silver cup. I feel like that was a really weird choice. I just don't feel like that cup, or that dish, or the chalice, or whatever the hell it's supposed to be, really works and stands out. in like a flattering way for the rest of the figure, but it doesn't like detract too much either. I'm just not like super happy with the color choice for some reason. You want to know what my favorite detail about this figure is though? Let me show you. It's so stupid. I love this back here. The cake, like how they're spreading on the icing, is so like meticulously sculpted. It's so realistic. I absolutely love this like stupidly detailed part of the figure. They did not need to do this. Nobody would care, but they made it look like actual cake. I like this more than the strawberries in the front. And don't get me wrong, the cream, like the whipped cream portions and the strawberries, they look great. But I don't know, man, this level of realism is actually insane to me, and I'm never gonna see it. I'm never gonna get to appreciate it because I'm always gonna have this figure displayed front facing, you know, if I were to buy it. I haven't actually pre-ordered it yet. But yeah, I absolutely love that. But, you know, Tori Domino designed this Miku. Say it every time. Did Ryza, did the MX Chan figure that I love. The Flesh Fang lives on with this Miku design, which makes her even cuter, if you ask me. And he's got to make those legs thick, and he certainly did. Not outrageous, but you could tell this is a plumper Miku than you might be used to. Compared to that other figure that Max Factory or Good Smile made. I don't remember who made the other Racing Miku figure with this design, but the birds are so much more like elegantly incorporated into this. Just sticking them onto the twin tail so there's no poles is just so much more seamless. It just works so much better, less distracting as a sculpt. Very subtle gradation in the twin tails, a bit of a brighter green towards the tips. You might miss it if you look at this figure too fast, but I do appreciate that. Just, you know, a bit more complexity to the twin tails, which is always appreciated. Super important detail for Miku. But yeah, this Miku is just so goddamn precious. She's just so happy to win that trophy, to win the competition, and I can't get over it. It's actually infectious how cute this is. But, man, do I really want to spend that much money? I really should buy a Miku figure. It's been so long since I bought one. But I'm always, like, hesitant, because I know somebody's gonna make something better. It's one of those situations where you're never gonna be satisfied because there's just so many options. So you really gotta find one that you really want to commit to, because I don't want to just buy something and then sell it. I don't know if this will be something that drops on the aftermarket. I can never tell with these Racing Miku figures. I guess I'll let you guys know if I do buy this or not. But we got one more before we get to freeing, and it might just be one of the best figures this month. We're talking about Volume from Nikkei for 32,000 yen. Very expensive once again, and this time it's only a 1/7 scale. All around, this is just a gorgeous piece, not only in the character design, but the level of detail on display here. Her outfit is pretty outrageous for what little there is, right? Most of it is just like nylon or silk, like that stockings material, and her leggings are actually all ripped up, which is a nice detail. I think even like right down there by the crotch, the danger zone might be ripped, but we'll see photos as we go through it. But yeah, just the shading on like all of that nylon silk material looks super good. Just highlights her body in a very attractive way. But then the rest of the outfit, you know, I think it might be either leather or latex. A little hard to say because the shorts are very shiny, very glossy. Same with like belts and whatnot. And her jacket is very glossy as well, but the bra looks more like leather to me. But yeah, there's a lot of like chains and just stuff hanging off of her. Glitter is applied to the jacket as well, which is something that I think we only learned with these new photos. I don't remember seeing that last time, but it's very sparkly and very eye-catching. Just a great color too, and I could say the same for her hair, which is a really nice, like, is it a pink? It's definitely some shade of pink, but her bangs have these little gradating orange tips, which I love. I'm not sure if her other hair strands have that. I think it's only for the front. But on top of all of that, on top of her like super suggestive, sexy pose, she has a very involved base, a ton of details here, a very cushiony black chair, a microphone stand behind her. I believe she's holding onto the microphone itself. Her gun's on the ground, a couple of mags, and the floor itself looks like steel, which, I don't know, I just feel like that's a nice extra detail for you. There's the microphone. Like, I don't think this is gonna be for everybody. You might not like the outfit, all the chains and the belts and whatnot. And she's, you know, pretty suggestive, very busty and whatnot, very curvy character. But I feel like this is a 10 out of 10. Definitely a stellar piece from Max Factory. Better not mess it up, because this shit looks amazing. Moving on to Freeing, this month they had about 5 figures to talk about, and starting us off is a re-release of Reimu for 38,500 yen. I do not recall her original price. I'm assuming this is a bit of an increase, but I really don't feel like 38,500 yen is ridiculous in today's market, considering the design of her outfit, the Gohei wand, and the talismans. There's enough going on here where I feel like it's pretty justified. But if you want to learn more about this figure, then you could easily look up reviews of her. I do not own this, unfortunately, so I can't really help you out, but I think she looks pretty, and I love the colors and the hair shading. And I do recall her being pretty expensive on the aftermarket at one point, so this might be a great opportunity for you to pick her up. Next up, we had the Taiga Bare Leg Tiger version. I'm just tired at this point. I really don't want to talk about this. This is the 4th version of this figure at this point, where the only change up here is that they took away her black leggings, which I know some people like more than having the stockings and whatnot, but this is the 4th time they're trying to shove this figure in our face, and hey, I like Taiga, alright? She's one of my favorite characters. I have the original release of this. I have the bunny version of this. I just don't think we needed 4 versions of it. 29,700 yen isn't a bad price. It's about what the other figures cost, but there's so many of the bunny and tiger versions out there that I'm pretty sure you can get the original versions way cheaper. I just think it's a little silly, but I'm never going to stop anybody from buying a Taiga figure, so more power to you. If you like this and you don't have a figure of her yet, and you like this design, because it's still good. It's still good. I like the bunny version a little bit better, but this still was a nice figure. Just a couple of problems with mine that I did talk about in my Best of 2023 video. The next one we got, though, is pretty damn funny. Here is Ryobi from Senran Kagura. Now, you might be thinking, I've seen this before. You've definitely talked about this. And you're kind of right. But this is a variant, the, I guess, transformation bunny version. Basically what they did is increased her chest size 10 folds, and I believe that's something this character can do, but it's the exact same sculpt as last time, except she used to be flat, and now she is enormous. And I think the price is exactly the same. The other figure was a cast-off. In fact, this gallery does show it down there, but I ain't clicking on it. You can check this gallery out for yourself if you want to. So the cast-off option is still intact. But yeah, this is a wild variant, which I did not see coming. I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like at the same time, they could have just, you know, had an option to swap out the chest pieces with the original release. But because it's freeing, they were absolutely going to just split this into 2 different SKUs. Which, I don't know. There's like arguments for both sides. It's like, yeah, I want to be able to just like swap what I like. But on the other hand, if you don't have swappable pieces, then the sculpt can be a little bit more seamless. There's less seam lines and whatnot. So I can understand if you like this or you hate it, but it doesn't matter because this is what's available right now. But hey, man, the original version of this figure, like, plummeted on the aftermarket. It's probably going to happen to this one too, unless they wise up and just don't make tons and tons of these and flood the market with them. But yeah, super busty Ryobi, now available to pre-order. Also from Senran Kagura was a bunny version for Fubuki, which I definitely didn't see coming, just not my first pick for the next figure in this line, but a good one. She looks good. Outfit is in line with the rest of the girls, very suggestive, a little bit different, but not like super deviating from like a traditional bunny suit, just kind of cut at the stomach with a zipper. I guess you don't really get zippers on a lot of bunny suits, but it does look good. Stockings stop at the thighs, and you got a little bit of a belt keeping them up. And the outfit this time, I guess because of just like the creases and the glossiness, looks more like latex than whatever they typically do with like that shiny shell of an outfit that Freeing typically does. What I'm trying to say is this looks way better, in my opinion, and I love her expression. I think her hair looks nice. The ponytail is super long. They do not show the cast-off option, but they typically didn't with these figures, so it's just like an assumption that she's going to be a cast-off. She's going to cost 39,000 yen, so pretty expensive. So keep that in mind, considering the other girls did really plummet, though only 2 of them are out right now. But probably the biggest surprise from Freeing this month was Mary Saotome from Kakegururi, which is a hard show to say. I hate saying the name of that show. For 39,600 yen, another expensive one. Instead of Frieren's typical outfit, she's in more of a casino bunny suit, which is a little different, not totally unique. We've definitely seen stuff like this before, but it looks good on her. The colors are like spot on, exactly what they should have been. And yeah, I don't think they ever showed this before, so I know a lot of people are pretty excited about it. Now, I gotta bring it up, the Yumeko figure was not to everybody's cup of tea, and it certainly wasn't to mine because of her face, and I don't want to dwell on that. I just was not a big fan of this figure. And unfortunately, I feel like I could say a similar thing about Mary. I don't love how they sculpted her face. I think it's better. I don't think it's as much of a problem, but I still feel like they kind of missed the art style and the design of the character with this expression, with the way her lips look and the nose. I don't know, it just doesn't really look like her to me, which is a bit of a shame because I feel like this is a good pose for her, and I think the colors are nice and vibrant, and the hair has a good flow to it. And I know people out there aren't going to agree with me, and that's fine. You don't gotta, it's just one guy's opinion, and the Yumeko figure was very divisive, and that still sold, like, incredibly well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one does too. I do feel like she's a bit too expensive. I don't know, a lot of these figures this month from Frieren were in the 39,000 yen range. But yeah, I think that's it for our bunny figures. Let's talk about Yakuza with the Like a Dragon Goro Majima Battle Style version from Digsta. This is the limited edition bonus for 9,400 yen version. I don't know if there's a cheaper version. I think it's just if you buy it right away, but it could be wrong. So I've gone on record stating that I think these figures, or rather the Majima figures from Digsta, are the best that they're putting out from the Yakuza line. I don't really like Kiryu or Ichiban. I feel like they mess up the face like pretty drastically to the point where I just cannot recommend those, but I do think Majima looks good like both times we've seen figures of him. The other version, which I did pull up right here, just includes his jacket, which is kind of a shame that you're losing. It's such an iconic look. Love the jacket, but instead you get the full tattoo on the back, which, you know, decent trade-off for sure. And this pose is more of like a battle stance, like he's getting ready to fight, whereas he was kind of just standing around in the original figure. But both do come with knives, so I guess you could still make him look like he's fighting either way. Just feels like the only one that really got his likeness down. Alright, so I would very much like to talk about Frieren now. This was one of my highlights for the month. Here we have Clanel's version of her for 19,800 yen, which is a great price, but unfortunately she is limited, so you're not going to get any better of a deal than that, which I feel like is a bit of a bummer. However, I do want to say that at this point in time, I feel like this is the first figure within the scale, you know, category, because maybe prize figures have done it too. But I feel like in terms of scales, this just understands Frieren the best. It just feels the most like her, looks the most like her too. Like, it's the first time that any of these companies actually nailed her face. This looks exactly like her, which is so refreshing at this point. Because why would you want a Frieren figure that doesn't really look like her? But this is like the spitting image of her in my opinion. And her pose is so fitting too. She looks so stoic here, which isn't the only side of her, but it's a side that's often, you know, shown off and represented. And it has like this subtle dynamism to it because, you know, she's not like the flashiest character unless she's actually using magic, but she's just walking along. And her hair is like flowing in the breeze along with the outfit just off to the side. And I think it looks kind of beautiful for that reason. I just feel like it just understands the series and the character and whatnot. So it gets a lot of points for that. I also like her fingers. Like, they don't look like little sausages, but they have the joints and the knuckles and whatnot. Nice attention to detail there. My only real, I guess, problem with her is that I'm not like super impressed with the paint job. It looks definitely serviceable, but I would like cap it off at like a 7.5 out of 10 in terms of a paint job. It's got some like soft shading to it, and it's not really like offensive or anything, but it doesn't really like pop out at you either. And maybe it shouldn't, maybe that's the point. But I feel like other companies are going to bring a little bit more to the table in terms of just like Frieren's palette, and just like choosing the correct colors and shading and gradation and whatnot. However, I will say right now I'm very much thinking about buying this one, but I have been thinking about Good Small Companies as well, which, you know, is its own kind of thing. It's not trying to be the exact same figure, but I've never seen this photo before. Like, we've seen the sculpt of it and whatnot, but this is like the highest resolution I've ever seen of this figure. And while I do feel like she looked a little bit stubby in this one, like she looked a little shorter than she should be, when I saw that she was wearing the ring, and I'll leave it at that, right? Because that was a fantastic moment in the show. That just kind of made me want this like 10 times more than the Claynell one. And I know that Q's Q is making a figure of her too. So as much as I like Claynell's version, as much as I can appreciate an affordable price tag, I might just wait for this one. I feel like we'll see this in summer. I feel like that would make sense. We have all those events going on at that time. But yeah, I feel like this one's a bit more exciting right now for me. And I think I'm gonna hold off, even though I'm not against having multiple Frieren figures. But who knows? I could be tempted. We did have a couple of notable re-releases that I want to highlight right now. Just 3, I think. First one was Tokyo Ghoul's Ken from Kotobukiya for 13,550 yen. Extremely affordable. Glad they did not increase the price too much on this guy. I think it's actually slightly different. It's a repaint version. What that actually implies, I'm not sure. But if they're going to repaint it, I'm going to hope that it just looks better. Not to say that the original figure didn't, but if they're going to go out of their way to say that, then hopefully they're bringing a little bit more to the table. But considering they didn't increase the price that much, I can't imagine this is like a drastic change, but still cool nonetheless, especially for that price point. Alter is also re-releasing their Alter Ego Meltreless figure. Did I say her name right? 1/8 scale for 28,000 yen. Very expensive, but I mean, this sculpt, I think it justifies that. I'm sure this figure is a banger, but I do not know anything about it. But I do love the frills and the outfit itself, the dress, the hair flow, very long strands of hair. Just love this palette too, the light blues especially. But yeah, another one that you could look up if you're interested. I'm sure the shipping will be extremely expensive considering single shipment. But speaking of which, we also have the Ed and Al from the Precious Gem line by Mega House for 36,300 yen. Now, at one point, I was looking for figures from Fullmetal Alchemist, and I noticed this guy. These two were so stupidly expensive on the aftermarket. We're talking like 800 bucks or something, which happens a lot with Mega House. I feel like their figures just go under the radar, and then people want them. And then I guess they're willing to spend like 3 times as much as they originally were. But hey, now you can get them for way cheaper, though this is still a very expensive figure considering I don't think they're super big. 300 millimeters, that's a pretty tall size, but it's 2 characters, one is on the other's back. So I'm not sure how big this actually is in terms of scale. I would guess around 1/8 scale. Typically, Mega House does lean on the smaller side, unfortunately. But it's very cool, you know, just summoning the lightning and the rock pillars and whatnot. And I think the likenesses are pretty damn good. You can't really mess up Al, but I think Ed is a solid representation of him there. Definitely beats paying Good Small Company $2,000 for their version of this. That was so upsetting. I can't believe that figure was so goddamn expensive. But this is great. I'm assuming it also has a light up gimmick. Yeah, light up base down here, which is cool. Okay, here we have Amamiya Sensei 1/7 scale by Wave for 19,800 yen. Goofy ass character design. I am not familiar with her, but I could appreciate some silliness. Very chesty, very large bust, but she's also wearing an oversized like lab coat. And I guess that's really it. Leggings look nice. They have nice shading on them, but what is this expression exactly conveying? There's also this version of her, the DK edition, the Donkey Kong edition for 23,100 yen. And as far as I'm aware, you get these like acrylic plates with the other figure too. They might be a little bit different though, if we compare the two. A lot of speech bubbles, that was in the other figure, so I guess you just get more of them. And this extra silly faceplate where she's sweating. It just looks like she's about to pass out because she is just freaking out. I'm not sure if that's worth 23,000 yen, but that's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. Kadokawa is putting out a To Love Ru Darkness, Golden Darkness, or Yami, wedding dress version for 20,000 yen. That's very cheap for a wedding dress figure. Not a crazy, lavish, you know, overflowing dress design, but nice nonetheless. Has a pretty light blue color palette to it. Nice shading applied to the frills and the creases and whatnot. Hair shading seems pretty light, but is not a bad shade of yellow for sure. And just like their Kanade figure from Angel Beach, you could take off the top layer of the dress and get something a little bit more, I don't know, I guess sexy. I'll just call it sexy for now. I don't know what else to call this. But I feel like it fits more with Telovru, considering the nature of the show, the program, compared to Angel Beats, where it was a weird fan service thing that I did not agree with. Does she come with a different faceplate? I can't tell. I don't think she does, but these photos are so low res that I thought she was pouting there. I guess we could just scroll down here and it would say, oh, she does. Okay, so I was right. Neat. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I do like this one overall. I don't think it's super impressive, but I think it's a nice little Yami figure. Always getting new figures except in her, you know, OG outfit, that like black leathery belts infested outfit. But this is nice. Certainly a nice one if you collect a lot of Yami figures. Actually, did I call the outfit light blue? Kind of looks more like a lavender here. Maybe I am colorblind. Yeah, I think I'm colorblind. Okay, that looks more like a lavender to me. Forgive me, I was wrong. I did want to talk about this one. Here we have Megumin from Shibuya Scramble for 28,600 yen. A figure that I was very excited for, but I feel like they kind of ruined it with one detail, and it's just her mouth. I feel like her face looks very odd to me now. And it didn't look like that to me on the prototype, which I guess I'll find a photo of and put it on screen. But it was such a nice idea. I loved this like rush of stars and energy just blasting behind her and making all of her clothes and hair just like, I don't know, go nuts from the wind and whatnot. I thought it was super dynamic looking, and the colors that these stars brought to the table were so eye-catching. Such a vibrant, lovely palette. Pretty much just a rainbow at this point. And I really like the art that this figure was based on, and it got so close to nailing it, but it just kind of fumbled at the last second, and it makes me kind of sad. So I feel like this one's actually going to drop on the aftermarket just because of that. Plus the fact that, was it Eastream? There's like that one huge Megumin figure that everybody has or that everybody loves. And I feel like that one kind of steals the spotlight from a lot of other Megumin figures, especially when they're trying to do something a bit more extravagant. So I think this one's going to get a little bit lost in the sea of other Megumin scales. Such a good idea. But her face just like looks odd. Like her eyes look nice. I love the decals. Maybe they could be a little bit more colorful. Maybe, but it's just like the, I don't know, the position of her mouth looks off. Like it's tilted, isn't it? Like tilted slightly, kind of small and tilted. I don't like it. I don't like it, and I really wish I did because I was actually going to pre-order this, but I just don't like it right now. Maybe I'll change my mind though. Who knows? Here we have Sophie, the changing clothes mode version from Q's Q for 19,000 yen. I wouldn't say this is my favorite figure of her, but I do think it's the cutest just because of her expression. She's very teary-eyed as she's flustered that you walked in on her. I don't know, they definitely nailed those eyes, and I love the shade of her hair. The shading is fantastic, lovely color. And you know, despite how it's a figure without much clothing, she does come with her staff, which I think brings a lot to the table. The gold paints and these like translucent sphere bubbles I think look good, and the spiraling pattern on the staff. I don't know, it's pretty eye-catching to me. And even if she's not wearing it, you still get the dress with this figure. And again, just looks like a wonderful paint job, a really bright red this time with some darker shading at like the edges, and a lot of frills and just like that striped pattern down there. But the main color of this figure, I suppose, is yellow. I think these figures do pretty well, like all the other figures in the changing clothes mode. Though I do know the Ryza one did drop pretty heavily on the aftermarket, so maybe this one will as well. I don't think Sophie's the most popular character, but she's certainly a cute one. And I think this figure is a nice take on this concept, because they've done it 4 times at this point, and none of them feel exactly the same because of the expressions that they choose. Akebi-chan no Sailor Fuku's Komichi Akebi 1/7 scale by Alter for 19,640 yen. I feel like it's been a while since Alter announced a figure like this, and it came out of nowhere. This kind of just reminds me of when they made figures for, say, Tamako Market or Hyoka. Just something about this reminds me of those times. I don't know anything about this show except there's a girl, not her, in the show that like is cutting her nails or toenails and then sniffs the clipper. I feel like everybody has seen that clip. And I know the show has a lot of like really pretty animation. But yeah, figure is very self-explanatory. They're just making this one for the fans, and I definitely love that kind of thing. But, you know, Alter's doing it, so the quality is going to be like some S+ shit, for sure. Looks very cute. She has a cheery expression, and her hair and the skirt is flowing about as she's running. It's good stuff. Just, you know, simple. But simple's fine. Simple's great. But, you know, they're going to keep making Azur Lane figures, so here we have Cheshire for 30,500 yen, which is pretty expensive, though her dress is rather large if we can get a better photo of it, with this gigantic ribbon flowing and draping down to the base. I'm assuming this will support the figure in some way, so that you don't have to worry about this pose only being on one leg, and you're not going to have any, say, acrylic rods keeping her up, which is great. And she does have just an elegant feel to her. She has this, like, graceful movement, kinda, but she's also, like, a cute little cat girl. Pretty, you know, voluptuous and whatnot. Not the craziest I've seen from Azur Lane. Getting a little bit of a cheek peek fan service back there just due to the design of the dress itself opening in the back. But yeah, I love her little snaggletooth fangs. I don't know if she has two. I need a better photo of that. I think it's only one. Love the color of her eyes, though. Love the highlights of blue in her hair. I think those are really eye-catching. A little bit of gold trim, some just jewelry or whatever, looking like an anchor on her wrists as well, with those huge tassels just like flowing out. I want to say these tassels all connect to the big ribbon in the back. I feel like there was a photo of that. Kind of looks like here they're all going towards it. I do feel like this price is kind of pushing it a little bit, but I feel like if she was like, say, 27,000 yen, that would have been like, all right, I'm pretty happy with that. But I'm still gonna say this is an absolutely, like, stunner of a figure. Another QSQ figure, here we have Kaguya Shinomiya, the ending version, a 1/7 scale, for just about 20,000 yen. Now, I kinda hate being too negative in these videos, especially like back-to-back, but I don't really like this that much, and that's so weird, cause QSQ is one of my favorite companies. Usually, they just nail everything back to back to back, they're so good. But I just don't get this one. Like, I understand the concept, I get what they're going for, but I don't feel like any of this is really coming together. I really hope this is one of those situations where these low-res photos just aren't doing the figure any favors and it looks a lot better in person. But I think my main issue with it is just her expression. It's like kind of cute, it does look like her, but it also looks a little bit lifeless at the same time, and I'm not loving that approach. I also don't think her hair looks that great. And I feel like there's not that many areas with this figure where you need to bring your A game, because you got a really basic white dress, right? Not going to be a lot to it, just have to make the creases look realistic. And then you have the wings, which it seems like the wings are nice. I like how they're not symmetrical. One is spread out a little bit more, so it gives the figure a bit of a unique look. And the details within the feathers are nice, but I don't know, I'm a little disappointed with her head. Like, the entire head sculpt, I feel like throws this one off a tad. Seems like they cared about her feet, though. They are nicely sculpted for sure. You do get a wind effect down here, which is so small. Maybe if they just made that a little bit bigger, this would just look more impressive. There's also feathers just like adorning it as they've fallen off of her wings, which really, I could not tell that was happening at all from the photos where it's zoomed out. But again, that might just be a situation where these photos are not the best. But I have some faith, you know, I like the angelic approach here. It's a nice concept. I just have to believe that this will look, you know, twice as good in person. But I don't think they're doing themselves any favors with these photos. Alright, next up we have Raphtalia body pillow version from Kadokawa for 21,000 yen. So just imagine this design on a dakimakura, and then it'll make sense to you. This is a figure that only stands up. She does not lay down. I mean, I guess you could just plop her down there, but it's not supposed to be that way. Kind of interesting that she's going to be pegged into a fluffy base. That's a little odd, unless they don't want to show us the rim of the base, or maybe they just want to make it look like a fluffy pillow. I don't know. I mean, the figure is definitely cute. I feel like I've seen better, I don't know, face sculpts on Raphtalia figures in the past, but this isn't a bad one by any means. And I like her hair too, the color of it, the sculpt, it has like this slightly messy vibe to it. Honestly, I wish they went more in that direction, make the bangs messy too. But what we have definitely works, and yeah, you know, pink stripes, cute underwear, and her tail looks nice and fluffy, and the shading's good there too. So, solid. Definitely have seen better, but solid for sure. Here we have Mount Lady from My Hero Academia, a 1/90th scale figure, because she is gigantic right now, and she's towering over a bunch of buildings and whatnot, for 17,760 yen. It seems like every figure of her, which, you know, there's not that many, but the ones I've seen really want to just, like, emphasize her butt, which, hey, I ain't complaining about. But it's funny that that's happened multiple times. She's doing a sexy pose here, too, as you could see, doing a kissy face and whatnot, though she does come with two expressions, which is nice, which we'll see in a second, probably. There you go, where she's got a wide smile. This one is made by Belfine, which is why we have that comic book text down there that says Crash, and it's tilted a little bit. It looks cool. It always does, though I feel like this is the, I don't know, least impressive of the comic book text application on their figures. I'm still glad it's there, though. I think it does add more than it does detract. And I guess you could take away one of the buildings, which is cool, and it makes it so that she is not gigantic at that point. So you break the illusion if you want her to fit in with the rest of your My Hero figures, which is actually some smart thinking. I like that. But yeah, you know, Mount Lady, she's got a good design. She's a fan favorite. She's really sticking her butt out on this figure. And yeah, seems like the blue is probably glossy. It looks very glossy in some of these photos, and then the white might be more of a matte paint. That's the impression I'm getting right now. So for 17,000 yen, seems pretty good. But there are, you know, other companies making figures in this series of Mount Lady. Kotobukiya made one. I don't know if it's out yet. But this definitely seems like some solid competition. And I guess, you know, speaking of Kotobukiya, let's talk about their Kaiju number 8 Reno figure, a 1/8 scale for 14,000 yen. Very cheap. I'm loving that. And like I said, when we looked at those pop-up parades, I just feel like this actually looks like a realistic suit. I know you weren't going to get this much detail in a pop-up parade, but it's just so different. Just so many more creases and wrinkles, and it hits that level of realism that you probably want in a scale figure. And it also is a totally different color. Like, it looks so much more of a jet black for the more skin-tight areas of the outfit, which I think looks better. It just makes more sense than the light blue. But, I don't know. I actually don't know which one is more accurate because I have not seen the anime yet. I will eventually, but I have not had the time. This one's way more dynamic, of course. He's got his rifle out. He's actually using the scope, which I think is awesome. You get a bunch of the streets all broken up, the railing and whatnot. And yeah, the gas mask too, which I think is a cool look. Also, it seems like you can display him without the base, which is awesome. But that does make sense based on this pose. It would be weird if you couldn't, unless he was like glued onto the base itself. Totally forgot about this one though. They are re-releasing Leo from Promare, which I think happened this month. I swear it did. I don't remember talking about this last month. 13,800 yen. Dope-ass movie. Have not seen it since it, you know, aired in theaters, which, man, I wonder how long that's been. I don't want to think about it. That's going to make me sad, but I've always loved his base and the flame that he holds. I don't know what this figure looks like in person, but I do dig this idea and just like trying to really replicate the art style of the show, which was pretty unique. So, yeah, let me know if you own this one and if you like it. All right, for you, I got two figures for you right now. Here is Patra Suo, 19,800 yen. Pretty good price. Love this outfit. Gonna take a chance here and say this is a girly K outfit. I don't know if I got that right. I'm trying to learn. It's definitely not like Lolita though, which I think I said last time about a figure that looked kind of like this. It might have been the Miku. I don't know. Someone will correct me for sure. But I think this is a girly K thing. And I think it's cute. The oversized socks and the platform heels and the pink and the black and the plaid skirt. She's got little like demon horns too. Or maybe goat horns, but I'm assuming demon, which is also sometimes goat horns. But she's got the bat wings too. That makes sense to me. She's lifting the skirt, making it slightly suggestive. You're seeing the strings on the underwear, which definitely helps that idea. And then she's got one fishnet legging, but it's totally painted on, which I guess doesn't, that does kind of look a little sloppy back there. Not loving that, unless it's ripped. I don't know if it's got like a ripped part to it. They're not showing it, but it does look odd. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have enough photos to tell you exactly how that's working. But, you know, for 19,800 yen, I ain't complaining. Furyu also put up the Yoshitoku and F-Neck Spice and Wolf Holo Japanese Doll 1/4 scale for just about 200,000 yen. You gotta have a lot of money to buy something like this. And I don't. And I have no idea if the quality of this fabric is worth it or not. I know they're working with like an official, like well-known Japanese doll brand and whatnot to make this a reality, but damn, that's a hell of a lot of money. I do like the wheats that she's holding on to. I think that's a fun, cute little idea. Bit of a shame that her tail, of all things, needs to be supported by a stand in the back. I feel like you're spending way too much money if you can't really design that a little bit better, you know? It's a very big, bushy tail for sure, and it's nicely painted. But, man, that kind of sucks. Maybe there's just no way around it, but I feel like a better company would have found a way around it. I don't know, I don't love that. But thankfully, this will not affect my life at all. Moving on to Amakuni, they had 2 figures for us this month, both from Phantasy Star Online 2, ES, Cool Breeze Jean, Summer Vacation version, as well as Annette, both for 23,000 yen. Now, we did see these painted not too long ago, I believe at One Fest, so this is really just confirming the price, because we knew everything that we needed to back then. And I liked them back then, and I like them now. I do feel like this price is a little bit too much, considering these are swimsuit figures without beach bases. Like, they're not even trying, you're gonna get something pretty simple, which isn't a problem, but I do feel like the price should reflect that a little bit. But it's Amakuni. It's always going to be a little bit more than you are expecting, unfortunately. But at least these swimsuit designs kind of slap. They're very cute. They're like sailor uniforms and one-piece swimsuits, and I think it totally works. Maybe I'm just a sucker for the berets, but I love it. I really do like these swimsuits. Jean, of course, has the crazy underboob, as most of her figures do, or they're always going to be a little bit suggestive because she's got a very large bust. I like the little band and the garter on Annette here, and I just like her face a little bit more. I don't know, maybe it's the elf ears, maybe it's the red eyes, maybe it's the fact that she's more embarrassed about it. I guess they both have really nice legs, but something about Annette's just works for me better, or not works for me better, but I just feel like I like her legs more. I don't know what it is. They're like the exact same size. It doesn't really make sense. They line up exactly, so I think I just have a preference, but yeah, they're both good. They're both definitely good. I'm kind of outing myself here, but somehow I only just now realized that they have big-ass ribbons on the back. I wonder what was distracting me. I don't know, but that's crazy. But yeah, the ribbons are cute. Apex also had 2 figures this month, though they're not related in terms of series. First up is the Arknights W Wanted version for 22,680 yen, which for this sculpt's fantastic price. Typically, though, Apex is good to us. So conceptually, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but she is leaping, emerging out of this magician's hat. A bunch of musical notes and ribbons and stars are just like bursting alongside her, which is very, very cool visually, super impactful. Also, I just noticed there's a couple of playing cards down there, but something about her outfit, the vibes of this figure, the fact that she's holding on to like an invitation of sorts, just makes her look like a mischievous thief or something. I don't want to say it, but it definitely has that, like, Phantom Thieves vibe going on, which I'm down with. That was a good game. You know, everybody loves Persona 5 and whatnot. I love that her leggings are ripped, and I love the boots, too. So long, super glossy. Love the colors of black and red combined there. Outfit, the dress has a bunch of these, like, edgy zippers, which is kind of cool. A frilly skirt to go alongside it. Kind of looks pinstriped on the inside, like a black and red. I would need to see some other photos to confirm that. Something like that. There's definitely black and red going on in the inside. But yeah, they're balancing a lot of gloss and mattes at the same time within the outfit and her skin, the top portion over here, which, I don't know, very well handled stuff. I love the approach. Got a little devil tail too, some pom-poms on the tassels. It's a fun outfit for sure. Her hair is kind of interesting too. She has red antennas. And maybe like the inside portions of her hair also have a little bit of like red highlights. I would have to turn her around. Yeah, that's definitely happening over there. Some fangs, love it. Yellow eyes, love it too. good design. Love the design. Apex is killing it here. Great sculpt, good price, fun, unique stuff. But we also have from Azur Lane, Ting An, Tender White Jade version, 1/7 scale for 21,340 yen. Which, I don't know, what do I say about this one? She is needing some flower in a pretty suggestive outfit. She also has some heart pupils, so I guess love can really bloom anywhere. And I love the manju, just trying to help, carrying the basket where I guess the dumplings or whatever she's making will be carried in. Actually, if we look at this photo, we can confirm that they're buns. But speaking of buns, every single photo in this gallery is cut off in a way just so you don't see this figure from the back. They don't want to show it. They want you to look forward to something. Maybe it's too suggestive back there. I don't know. But no but for you unless you buy this figure. Love the eye decals. Either one. I probably like the main one more though, just because of how much more red is involved. I just find the eyes really pretty. Does she have highlights or some kind of color in her hair? Kind of looks like purple back here. I'm not sure though. There's a gradation where the hair is tied up, which is lovely. But yeah, not too much else to say. Nice looking figure, but I feel like this won't be super popular in the realm of Azur Lane. So I'm wondering how this will do on the aftermarket. Alright, we're almost done. Just a few more to go, mostly from Gacha games, but a couple of OCs as well. First up though, we have Blue Archives Hanako. This is the DX version, 1/7 scale from Oriental Forest. It's going to cost you 23,000 yen, which feels pretty fair, though I'm not super familiar with this company. Actually, if this is a good company, then I would say this is extremely fair, because you're getting 2 body sculpts in one. You're not getting 2 figures as much as this looks like one, but you're getting 2 options that just give you a lot of variety, I suppose. A swimsuit body and a school uniform body that comes with the school bag and the gun, as well as 2 different expressions, but I'm assuming they're not giving you 2 hair sculpts, because that would literally just be 2 figures in one package, which, hey, that would be a killer deal, but it doesn't say that in the description. I do love the colors of her hair. They're so nice. I just really wish it wasn't translucent hair. It would look so much better as mattes. But it's not bad. From these photos, I really don't have too much of a problem with it. There's really not that much to speak of in terms of the swimsuit. It's a one piece. It's like a navy blue. Very simple, very, I don't know, traditional, I suppose. I think there's some like white stripes on it. Maybe more like a sporty take on the one piece, right? But the school uniform, you know, it's not super different either, but I do like the shading on the white, considering it's just white with a little bit of pink and a light blue. The colors are nice. I really do love this color palette that she's got. I love the color of her eyes too. I think they're a light green. Could be a yellow, but these photos aren't the best. So in between that somewhere for sure. But it's a good expression. I like the other one too. She's very happy. And I'm sure the school uniform version would look great with the smiling face, and this one would look good with the more like shocked, blushing face. So hey man, if this actually comes out looking like these photos, this is a killer deal. Fantastic stuff, but the company's too new. I can't tell you for sure if this is actually worth it or not. But it certainly feels like they're trying. They're giving you a lot at the very least. Next, we're going to knock out a bunch of Azur Lane, starting off with Taiho, the still illustration version, 1/4 scale from Alpha Max for 37,000 yen. Now, this is actually Alpha Max's second figure from the Azur Lane series, I believe. The first one being Bremerton, where she's in that cowboy bikini outfit. Kinda wish I pre-ordered that one, but I didn't. We're not here to talk about that though, we're here to talk about Taiho. Now this is actually her second 1/4 scale, if I'm not wrong. Maybe Frieren is also making a figure of her. In fact, I'm pretty sure they are. But we have that Mimayoi one, which is super popular, even though they did kind of mess up the face a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean more than a little bit. I'm not a big fan of her lips and her teeth. But this one sure is alluring. Now there's a couple of obvious charm points here. Her bust and her butt, which we'll get to in a second. You'll see it in all its glory, but I really want to just focus on the lingerie here. The top is seemingly a metallic red, which I love that color. Same goes for the ears, but her sleeves, there's like a fishnet thing going on, like on top of the hearts. I think they just painted it on though. I don't think it's actually fishnets, certainly doesn't look like it or anything, but it's still a nice look for sure. And while I did kind of complain about Bremerton's hair a little bit, and I can tell that Alpha Max is doing the same thing here with the translucent tips, I think because it's all black, it kind of just looks a little bit more natural, doesn't really bother me as much. So that's a plus, for sure. But as you can see, we're, dealing with a pretty saucy sculpt here. The underwear is, like, off at this point. Her butt is just completely out on this figure because the strings are no longer tied, and I feel like I'm kind of pushing it by staying on that photo, so we're gonna move on. And I like her expression. Can we get one more zoomed-in photo? This one's pretty good. She's got her tongue out, being a bit of a tease, very playful. Good stuff. Very sexy stuff. I hope this is good, just like I hope the Bremerton is good. But these are still new to Alpha Max. They haven't touched Azur Lane till now, but they're a pretty good company, but I don't own anything that they make, so I don't actually know how good they are. Azur Lane's Belfast Shopping with the Headmaid version by Brilliant Journey, a 1/7 scale for 26,500 yen. Pretty expensive, but I love this, mostly just because of her outfit and the colors that it brings. I mean, it's just the fashion sense. It works for me. I believe Brilliant Journey has released a couple of figures at this point, and they did turn out pretty well. So I actually feel pretty confident in this one, even though I don't own any of their stuff. But yeah, it really is the outfit here that I like so much. Obviously, she's a very attractive character, very voluptuous as well. But that shoulderless sweater, the huge red scarf, her skirts, and the leggings, I don't know, it's like a killer combination. Plus, she's got a couple of shopping bags and the Pocky and whatnot, likely gonna share with you, and I love her hats. The shading on her hair also looks excellent. And yeah, I don't know, very pretty face. I think I just like Azur Lane figures more when they're wearing, like, I don't know, fashionable, contemporary clothes and whatnot. More of my style, I guess. Little pricey, for sure. I would consider it if it dropped on the aftermarket, just because so many Azur Lane figures do. But I'm not stressing it, not a big deal. Here's another Azur Lane figure that I like a lot, Noshiro Hold the Ice version, a 1/7 scale by Alice Glint, for just about 23,000 yen. Now, most of the reason why I like this is because Oni Girl, the huge horns, sucker for that kind of thing. But she's very cute. I love the eyes, love the color of them, the design too, nice ass decals. And then her hair has this like really attractive luster to it. Maybe it's the shimmer of this like blue that they have, the blue highlights throughout the twin tails and whatnot, and on the bangs. It's just a really nice approach to take for black hair that we typically don't see super often. So I hope that part of the figure turns out as nice as these photos. And, despite this being like a maid cafe outfit, I feel like it does deviate enough to the point where it feels at least a bit fresh, in my opinion. Nothing crazy, of course, but I like the hearts that are on the apron, like all the bands on her wrist too. That has nothing to really do with the outfit itself, but I just like them dangling about on the arm as she's adjusting her hair. A very cute pose, might I add. And then, yeah, leggings, the garter belt, of course, some more hearts up here running down the chest. I would seriously buy this if I collected Azur Lane, but man, I just don't. And I'm very worried to start because, my God, is this just like way too much to get into. Also, I'm just realizing that she has 2 faceplates as well, which is always an appreciated bonus. Some of these photos are definitely, they're doing their thing. They're pulling me in. They're very compelling and whatnot. This is so unnecessary. The top-down angle. Just to make sure you know how she looks at every conceivable angle possible. But, yeah, I don't know. Just a design that really works for me specifically. The last Azur Lane figure in this video is Shimakaze, the Island Wind Rest version. There are 2 versions of this figure, the DX and the regular edition for 18,000 yen or 24,000 yen. You get a lot more base with the DX version, and I think it's to the point where I would just say if you like this design, go for the DX version. I like the sand base a lot, the cats and the dog sculpture, the umbrella, that's all propped up. A couple of buckets, a shovel, some extra shells, some beach balls, one has the bunny ears. It's a lot of stuff. All you're really getting with the normal version is a little bit of the sand base and the stool. But for 6,000 yen extra, I think it's quite worth it. Regardless of the version though, you will get 2 faceplates, the normal smiling one where you get to see her yellow eyes, or one where her eyes are closed. Both smiling though, So cheery vibes regardless. Other than that, her hair is absolutely massive. 2 twin tails tied up in ribbons, gradating to a darker gray as you go down her twin tails. Just looks really nice around the ribbons. So A+ on the hair, of course. But yeah, I just feel like this one is so much more fun. Just love those sand sculptures. They're so cute. And then all that's left are a couple of OCs, starting off with Union Creatives Iyashike Shiro China One-san for 20,000 yen. This one definitely exceeded my expectations, though I still don't think it looks as nice as the art, but usually that is the case. But at the very least, her face is extremely pretty, and while I'm not the biggest fan of the pink translucency for the tips, I think if it was a bit too bright, or maybe if it was opaque, it might be a little distracting. I don't know. I get what they're going for here. I feel like it works enough. It's just not my personal cup of tea. But I do like the sculpt of her hair overall, the bangs and the way some of it's draping down her arm. Pretty effective at simulating like the physics of hair, long hair draping down and whatnot. Here we have Yoga Shoujo, illustration by Kinku, a 1/7 scale by Hobby Sakura for 9,600 yen. That's extremely cheap. We're talking like 60 bucks at this point. This is a very foot-focused figure and armpit-focused. They put a mole on her armpit, so you know where to look. Also, her chest is quite big as well. But I don't know why she looks so sad. I feel like this expression doesn't fit the mood. I don't know, like the vibes are off for me on this one. Like, I don't know, she doesn't look tired. She doesn't look stressed out, you know, or just exhausted. She just looks sad. Like, what she's doing is not fun for her, so I don't know how much I actually like this one. But hey, at the very least, she is super affordable. And the last figure for this video is Maid One-san Cynthia, illustrated by Yukimiya Yuge, a 1/6 scale from Otherware for 18,800 yen. Now, I feel like I made a wrong choice making this the last figure because I have nothing to talk about here. It's a slightly suggestive maid figure with a very cute face, a large bust, a tiny top, and I think, honestly, the most like detailed part of this figure is likely her lacy underwear, which look pretty damn good. Like, very realistic in terms of just the sculpt and the paint. So I'm kind of impressed by that, but there's really like nothing else to really hone in on in terms of discussion. Always with the translucencies though, why do these companies rely on that so goddamn much? But she's nice, you know, the lace, excellent, the face is very cute, and if you're a maid figure collector, could be one to look out for. But that's gonna do it for our pre-order roundup for April. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it definitely helps me out. And I guess subscribe if you're not already. I'll be back very soon with another video, most likely an unboxing, because I still have a ton of stuff I need to get around to. So look forward to that, but until then, take care. Later.